The race for the White House gets tighter. Democratic allies of Kamala Harris are dialing up the fear factor, like James Carville.
He would actually go on television and say, I'm going to use the military to round up my political enemies. I didn't know that he was going to schedule a rally at Madison Square Garden to mimic the Nazi rally of 10 February 1939.
Greg, do you think that that's what Trump was thinking, that he would do a rally at Madison Square Garden so it would be just like 1939?
It's good to see the headless horseman got his head back. I was worried about it. I think they're planning something, because you keep hearing that same question. Would you accept the outcome of this election? They keep asking that question. Isn't that a strange question to ask? As if you sound like you're getting ready to do something. You better accept this election no matter what happens, Dana. It's kind of like saying, are you going to give that Uber driver 5 stars before he picks you up? You should. It's like, why would I do that? You better generously tip the service before the food arrives. Why would you do that? Because it removes the pressure to offer you good service. And when somebody is asking you to accept the outcome of the election, full stop, to be British.
I love it.
You got to ask yourself, why? Why are you asking me that?
Harold,
in your face.
President Trump was already president, so he does have a record. And they're trying to say that there's going to be Jim Crow is going to be brought back. But he was already president.
Right, he was back in 60.
And that didn't happen.
But I think Mike Pence was his vice president then, who's not supporting him now. And the guy who is his VP is J.D. Vance. And J.D., I think, has signaled some support for that project. President Trump has said he does not want Project 2025. And Jim Clyburn has said that he believes Project 2025 is Jim Crow 2.0. Now, I probably wouldn't have said Jim Crow. Let me just finish, please. It's a generational difference. No, I don't think most Americans know Jim Crow. I've studied Jim Crow. Thank God I didn't have to live under it.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, I still think the path to victory for both candidates, but particularly for the one I'm supporting, is to point the differences, and that being Kamala Harris, point out the differences between the policies. I do agree with you, Greg. It is a little strange that everybody now is talking about accepting the outcome, and I think some of it is because of what happened in 2020. But everybody needs to get beyond it. Let's talk about the differences, because I'm going to accept the outcome. Let me be very clear. Whomever wins, I'm going to be as supportive as I possibly can of the next president of the United States, and I hope it's the person that I'm supporting.
What if it smells weird?
But get to the differences between the candidates, not the personalities. We talked about this thing last week. Policy, 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 and explain it.
Bill Barr a few months ago said for a lot of moderates and independents that he said they might see President Trump as Russian roulette, but Biden is national suicide. And so, I mean, that's a little scare tactic.
Yeah, and you know what? This is what happens at the end of an election. You know, when you have Carville and you have Clyburn, I mean, they're cranking up the fear. That's the only way they can figure to get people to vote for Kamala, because they have not a lot of reasons to vote for her. And I think it's kind of interesting, Harold, the way you answered that question. The question was about Jim Crow and Trump. And you immediately then segued to J.D. Vance and then 2025 and said that was Jim Crow. Ergo, this is Trump being back.
But that's why Clyburn said what he said. I listened to the interview. That's what I was. That's what he said.
But the concern for Americans is for who's going to treat them better, who's going to be in a position where they're going to be able to go to the grocery store and not be shocked because it costs so much money, or to have to put stuff back on the shelf because they don't have enough money to buy it. And we just talked about this retrospectively. People are looking at Trump and saying, we were better off under Trump. And in the end, it's a last resort of someone to say, you are Hitler, or for Carville to say, Kamala Harris needs to call Trump Hitler. And then Tim Walz is running around saying free speech is misinformation.
Yep.
It's not misinformation. That's not protected.